Hi, my name is Scott Rising, and I'm a senior at the University of Arizona, and I'm here to contribute my story for the It Gets Better project that was started by Dan Savage, who is an incredible columnist. If you've read his work, I'm sure you'll agree. And this is very hard for me to talk about. I'm going to get a little bit personal, but if there's somebody watching and it helps, then it was completely worth it. I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska. Alaska is a very conservative place, as you can imagine. We're the ones responsible for Sarah Palin, so I'll just apologize straight out. We also banned gay marriage an entire decade before California did, which is astonishing to really think about. Way before it was popular to put hate into the constitution of a state, Alaska was doing it. But it was a very tough environment to grow up, and that should kind of give you the context of which growing up gay in Alaska is like. But with me, I never knew that I was gay in middle school, elementary school, high school, but everyone else did, and I wasn't picked on for being gay, to split hairs, but because they perceived me as gay. And even though ultimately I wasn't out, I wasn't proud, I wasn't gay openly, but that didn't stop kids from bullying me. And that's when it's really tough because you hear horrible things like, well, if a kid's gonna act that way, they're gonna get picked on. I didn't choose to act any way. When I was younger, I had a very high pitched voice. I was very gawky. I was fat and just I might as well have been wearing a bullseye on my back as far as the other kids were concerned. But ultimately, I am who I am today because of everything that I've gone through when I was young. Probably started around 9 or 10 years old, where people would say, maybe even younger, when people would make digs at my sexuality or my gender. They'd call me horrible names the words I didn't know or understand. And when I transitioned from elementary school to middle school, it only got worse. There were the big bad eighth graders who were hormonal and going through puberty and taking it out on me. And I had kids making fun of me in classes. I had one class I will never forget where they openly made fun of me in front of my teacher, and she had no idea, completely oblivious to what was going on. And it was the entire class was in on it and laughing at me, and it was horrible. And she didn't understand when I wanted to leave and drop the class. But this is um, in middle school. I would say that I thought about suicide every day. And I wouldn't use the word contemplate suicide because I never was actually going to do it. My mom told me from a very young age, and I believe this, as harsh as it may sound, but suicide is the most selfish thing you can do. You're only thinking about how you can make things better for you or worse, or in my case, worse for someone else. Um, you're not thinking about the people that you leave behind, your family, your mothers, your fathers, and everyone around you who will blame themselves for your death. And it's very tragic. But for me, it was not about making pain go away. It was about making those people who tormenting me understand how much it hurt, and making them understand. It really was. It was a revenge fantasy. It was, how can I make them, how can I pay them back for all that they've done to me? And that was the ultimate act of revenge, was to make them hold on to that guilt for the rest of their life for causing someone's death. Um, I really don't believe I ever would have done it, but it definitely was at the forefront of my mind every day. And it got a little bit better when I went to high school. And part of that is because my first high school had 2,500 students. It was very large, a little bit easier to get lost in the crowd. But also, a lot of the bullying was done behind my back, and I would just hear about it. Sometimes I wouldn't. I'm sure people said horrible things about me all the time, and I just had no idea. And that's kind of the nature of high school. And I'm sure it's gotten worse with increases in cyber bullying or whatever the hell that is. But it was definitely a step up from middle school. I did everything I could to be more manly. I joined the football team. I subscribed to Sports Illustrated. Can't say that I read it too often, but at the end, I just wasn't able to come to terms with who I was. And I got through those 4 years. They were very difficult. There was senior prom was incredibly awkward for reasons I won't go into. I experimented with, I guess now I would call it experimented with women. um, but I had no idea who I was. But as soon as I got to college, it instantly was better. People don't care if you're gay, at least not at the University of Arizona. It's a really much more open environment. I can't say that I've never had things happen, to be completely honest with whoever's watching. But um, overall, people are so accepting, and I was able to come to terms with my own sexuality and finally admit to myself that I was gay my freshman year of college, which was a huge step for me. I was 19 years old. Now I'm 21, and life is just so much better than it was. I reached out, I got involved. I'm currently an elected student body senator at my university's student government. I was the president of a club of which I was the only gay member. And being gay becomes what it truly is. It's a secondary characteristic. It's not who you are. It doesn't define you. It's just another thing about you, like being left-handed, which I am. And I think it's getting so much better every day as far as people's perception of that and people really believing that it doesn't make you any worse of a person than anyone else. But I love life right now. I have great friends. I love college. College is fun. I was nominated for Homecoming King, which is exciting. Like, you can be gay and you can do whatever you want and whatever you set on doing. Um, so if you're watching and you're thinking about where you're going to go to college, find out what those resources are. Is it a welcoming campus? Does it make you sign a contract saying that you can't engage with same-sex relations? Because I think that exists. Like, you should be able to get an idea so that when you get to college, you can focus on yourself and growing yourself and, self-actualization, self-realization. Have real relationships. Don't be afraid to walk out in the street holding your boyfriend's hand or girlfriend's hand or whatever, you know? So definitely think about it. And if you are out right now and you're in high school, good for you. That is so brave, and no one will ever realize that. My parents are completely fine. I have two Republican parents who are completely fine with my sexuality, and it gets better. You are who you are, and someday you're going to grow into an incredible human being, and your sexuality will help. And everything that you've gone through, everything you're suffering through right now, will have contributed to the person that you become. It'll make you a stronger person, a better person, and a more accepting person. And it may not seem like any good can come of whatever you're going through right now, but ultimately, I'm Scott Rising, and I'm here to tell you it gets better.